I'm Calvin Austin III, wide receiver for the University of Memphis.
It's Anthony Sane for Sports 66 Mornings.
This is Rodney Williams, tight end for the Denver Broncos.
This is Tommy Haynes.
This is EJ Manuel, and you're listening to No Cap Sports.
With No Cap Sports.
And the No Cap Sports.
No Cap Sports, three of the hardest grinding brothers in the business.
Welcome to another episode, No Cap Sports, man. You know where to find us, best coverage in sports, point blank, period. And as always, Josh, start us out with that fire, my brother. Heard you got a special one cooked up.
Man, thank you for the intro, brother. Been ripping and running out here, living my best life in graduate school. So I ain't been honestly tapped into a lot of the new music, but I'm excited for a lot of the new releases. I think me and Nick connected on the some of the Michigan rapper wave. I'm a big fan of like Real the Young OG, V's. You got the Stella project this year. One of my I say like B-list heavy hitters, Babytron. He just dropped Megatron 2. So have you listened to it yet, Nick?
I ain't tapped in yet, but Babytron always in rotation for me, man.
No, that's a fact. So I'm definitely, especially with how niggas don't want to rap today, he's definitely one of the guys that's still gonna come up with them true bars. So I'm excited to tap in for that. Trap Tuition by Lil Migo. We can question Lil Migo's character, but his music I never really do. So I think especially with the way this city is going right now, R.I.P. to Big Motor, we gotta support the guys. And I think that we have to get tapped into what the Lil Migo thing. Larger Than Life, Brent Faiyaz, that just dropped for the soulful R&B folks, and honestly just people that actually like quality music. And especially with how rare it is that Brent dropped, like we need to probably save this spot because he likes to come like an R&B Kendrick kind of sort of. But as Mr. Hayes referred to, I have something a little special cooked up for us. I am dating a woman of Caucasian hue.
My milk of magnesia.
Currently, so I've been definitely listening to a little bit different songs than I usually would. So I wanted to throw the question to the group, and I got mine picked out. What is your favorite white person song?
That's a very good question, bro. Because you know,
would you like me to start, sir?
Yeah, you know what? Give us yours first, my brother.
Okay, so it may be a little bit on the border because I actually like some of the mashups that they do with it on YouTube. But I'm going with Panic at the Disco. I chimed in with the wives you people ever heard of. Closing the goddamn door. Like, bro, like don't tell me it's a little bit of your fairies come out when you hear that song with like your Brooks brother, feelings come out when you hear something like that. So that's for me, like it's some other good ones too, like Hall & Oates, stuff like that. The Backstreet Boys joint I just looked up. I can't think of that song. But it's some Bobby Caldwell is a legendary white artist that people thought was black for the longest time. But yeah, for me, it's gonna be Panic at the Disco. What say you, Mr. Hayes?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it real traditional, real white, real mayonnaise right here. And I think when you talk about white people music, no offense, you know what I'm saying? But when you talk about white people music, one song stands out above the rest. And that's Party of the USA by Miley Cyrus, bro. No matter where you at, somebody play that song, the entire white population is gonna start singing and going crazy, bro. If you think about it, I guess, you know what I'm saying, there's no such thing as a white HBCU, but if there was a white HBCU, that would be the song of their homecoming year in and year out, bro.
This quality. This is quality choices right now.
Nah, Miley Cyrus' best song is Decline.
I've never heard that song in my life.
Well, I was gonna say 23 myself, but okay. In the club, with my J's on. But that's just me. Shit, Mike Will made that shit. Quit playing me, dog. But no.
I remember.
Okay, thank you, bro. Thank you. The cover was hard, all that. Yeah, that was like a little jump that you. Come on, bro. Exactly.
Why would Juicy J on that track, bro? That's so random.
You talking about John?
That nigga's the bag chaser.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie. I definitely caught me a little bit of ass at the middle school jumps to that song. I'm not gonna lie. So it's holding nostalgic value for me, if nothing else. And it's crazy. You rag on it. As soon as I talk about it, you got all the memories of the cover. So it's all right though. It's all right. Everybody don't want to claim their heritage.
Go check out Decline, bro. By Miley Cyrus.
I'm familiar with the song, bro. I'm good on it.
You might start crying after you listen to it, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Listen to it as if you listen to Kirk Franklin or no Marvin Sapp, bro. It's more of a slower. She the white Marvin Sapp. She the voice, bro. Anyway,
okay, you went too far. You went way too damn far.
Speaking of Caucasian music, bro, I'm gonna start. I had 2 songs in mind, but I actually had this conversation with my girlfriend like literally this past week. Who had the harder soundtrack, Camp Rock or High School Musical?
High School Musical.
You said that too fast. Cause that was when Demi Lovato was in her bag. Fool. I ain't gonna lie.
Dude, pre-cocaine, like, bro.
Man,
crazy.
I didn't want to say it, but exactly. High School Musical probably got the more like iconic hits. Summer. But I ain't gonna lie. Ooh, that's a good one. This is a surprising, productive conversation about white music. I didn't think we was gonna go with this in depth.
But I'll go ahead and give you the 2 songs I was thinking about. The first one, when I was a kid, bro, and you ain't really had access to like the internet or nothing. This song, Stacy's Mom, bro, like the music video, y'all heard it, like Stacy's mom has got it going on. Y'all ain't never heard that?
He made that whole
promise
chill out, bro. He just put on bro.
That must be an like, Central exclusive, bro.
Nah, bro. As a little kid, that come on like MTV. It's like a little kid or boy at high school cleaning like a
Fountains of Wayne.
Pool.
Is that Fountains of Wayne?
Bro, see, that sound right, but watch the music video, bro. He was cleaning like a Mills pool, bro. And so
that sound like one of them songs them little white DC mamas wanted to get you to, man. That don't sound like that. I don't think it. I think that was played with a purpose and not for your ears to enjoy. They were Stacey's mom trying to tell you
my other favorite white song like now probably is "We Are Young" by Fun. Y'all heard that one?
Yeah, of course. Everybody knows that song, bro.
No, yeah, that one bumpy.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. We didn't sit here and we didn't throw out white people songs. Ain't nobody said Taylor Swift. So I'm starting to question if she really make music or not, bro. Because I think she faked. I can't name a Taylor Swift song just off the top of my head.
She an industry playing for real.
Nah, that'd be AI for sure. She's definitely AI. I'm not gonna lie, man. And it's crazy because I've been thinking about this for a little bit too. Like, she had a run already. Like, she had like 2008, 2012 type of jump. Like, she was like, I almost said the white Justin Bieber. She was the girl Justin Bieber. And now it's like, again, she's having like this resurgence of relevancy. And like you said, I haven't heard a song. I ain't heard a note, a bar. She don't rap, but I haven't heard nothing besides she on my man Kelsey's Man beat or whatever. So I don't know why this is the return in relevancy. And I really like question because, like you said, we just had a whole 5 minutes about white people music. So if she had some hard shit, if it was undeniable,
it would have got brought up.
Exactly. So the fact that
I'm trying to think of a song by her that I know, bro. I'm blanking. I swear.
I cannot think of a Taylor Swift song. I cannot think of a Taylor Swift lyric. I cannot think of a Taylor Swift melody, bro. Like,
nah, that's a fact. Like I said, I think that. See, this is the type of shit I need to get back to. In my Taylor Swift hate, I struggle to see whether or not it's validated. But like I said, all 3 of us, going for this same thing. Like, nominated 2023 MTV Music Awards. Nominated for song Anti-Hero. Nobody's ever heard it.
I've never heard that song in my life.
Yeah, so it's
who harder, Taylor Swift or Blueface Baby Mama?
Blueface Baby Mama.
Did you hear that video, cuz? Did you hear the video of him? Like, bro, now that is sweet music, brother. Sound like she was drowning.
Come on,
or washing dishes and stuff.
So full.
So we've sat around and we've talked about white people music, Taylor Swift's in particular, and how we've never heard of her. Well, one team in the NFL, the Atlanta Falcons, were looking for a pass rusher at this year's NFL deadline, and they made a trade and acquired one. But just like Taylor Swift's, it was one we've never heard of. So looking at this NFL trade deadline, what moves really stood out to y'all, and just what are some of y'all's key takeaways from this deadline?
For me, like I said, we had a big flurry today with Young, Sweat, some other things. But one that wasn't on the deadline, but I was really impressed by was Leonard Williams going to Seattle. Going into the year for Seattle, that D-line was kind of their biggest question. Got Bobby Wagner back, got Witherspoon, kind of locking down that secondary already, being real physical. We seen Geno was above average quarterback. So yeah, that D-line and their ability to get after the passer was going to be, the biggest part, the biggest question for that team overall. So, to see them do that pretty consistently throughout the year. Boye Mafe has kind of had a breakout year. BT Jordan joining their staff as like a D-line or pass rush specialist. Like, he's done nothing but produce elite pass rush at every stop he's been at, whether it be college or the NFL now with his previous stint in Arizona. And yeah, Leonard Williams is kind of like that. He's kind of that big name addition, somebody that can, command double teams on a regular basis, somebody that needs to be accounted for when you're talking about those inside run blocking schemes, and also got to offer some juice as an interior pass rush, which is the one thing that they really don't have. They got my fade, they just signed Frank Clark, so they got the interior, they got the edge rushers, seemingly on lock, but they do need some, and we all know interior pass rush is the quickest way to the quarterback, and that bothers QBs the most. So Seattle was a team that a couple years ago looked like they was kind of destined for perennial top 5 pick status, and they turned it around really quickly. And now with the roster construction they've done, I think that they could be looking at the playoffs sooner rather than later.
Man, they might win the division now. They're tied. They're in first place, or
I was
second
about to say
place,
they
right
might
behind
be
Philly.
leading it right now.
They're first place in division. They tied with San
Francisco. Yeah, San Francisco got 3 losses now. They sit in the same spot at 5-3.
Man, nah, that's a great pick. I like Seattle. That's a great pick.
They're not falling below. They're gonna be first, second in that division with the Cardinals and the Rams, and they have some leeway, honestly. But nah, it was surprising to see how quick the turnaround has been for them.
Man, but so my big trade pickup was by a team that's only a game behind them technically, but they're in a different division, the NFC North. They traded for Joshua Dobbs, and that's Minnesota Vikings, man. So with that being the trade that I'm picking, it's just crazy that they could have got Jameis or Ryan Tannehill, but instead they got Joshua Dobbs. That's a very interesting pickup. And in terms of Dobbs is the modern day Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's a bridge quarterback. And so who knows where they're going to go with that. But now that the Titans, I know you guys saw Will Levis. I had to sneak that in there. I mean, there's no way you don't go Will Levis even when Ryan Tannehill was healthy at this point, because he has more touchdown passes in one game than Tannehill had in 5. Like, I mean, you can't overlook that. So at this point, Joshua Dobbs to the Vikings, I mean, he's probably going to be average there. Who knows? I mean, he was really good with the Cardinals. So with that being said, Jameis Winston could have been a Viking. Ryan Tannehill could have been a Viking. I'm sure there was another name being thrown out there. Maybe somebody coming out of retirement. Yeah, I mean, they're in the playoff contention, man. And they got they got the best wide receiver not named AJ Brown in the league.
Yeah. You're not lying, bro. And I think that Minnesota situation is really interesting because they drafted a quarterback in this year's draft, talking about Jaren Hall out of BYU. So kind of seeing how that quarterback situation plays out, now that Kirk is done for the year. Josh Dobbs, can he be serviceable for you? Yes. Is he going to lead you to where to the same amount of wins as Kirk Cousins? Probably not. And if you look at this Vikings situation, it's even more interesting when you consider Justin Jefferson still hasn't signed his extension yet. So the biggest thing for the Vikings right now is making sure that Justin Jefferson stays in Minnesota. And so whatever they do over the course of the end of this season and into the offseason, talking about the NFL draft, is going to be very important for Justin Jefferson and just the future of that Vikings team. Because right now, everything is in the balance. And I'm pretty sure it's safe to say Kirk Cousins likely isn't going to be coming back to that team, seeing as that injury ended his season. And this is his last year under contract with Minnesota.
I think for me, that was kind of the most confusing part for them acquiring Dobbs. It seems like you're a little bit higher on Dobbs than I am, Vance. Like I said, he was better than expected in Arizona, but I'm not meaning cons. I do believe wins are QB stat at some point, and they still want to set. So I think that it's just a little bit confusing with the direction that the team is going. Like we see a team like Washington clearly, having a fire sale and tanking, or the best that you can in football. But with Minnesota, with Jettas coming back, with some kind of offensive continuity coming together with Akers, Madison, and Addison looking like it's a legit wide receiver one, it's like I think that there's big gaps, even with how bad Tannehill's been this year, and we know that Jameis Winston experience, but I think those guys would have been a large upgrade over Dobbs. So for me, it's a little bit confusing because I seen that and I was like, are they selling for the year? And I don't think that. We'll talk about it a little later. They play some really good teams, close. So I think that they have a Tannehill or Winston would have put them in a dangerous spot in terms of what they could have did. And I don't see them. I don't see them still in the same way with Josh Dobbs.
Oh no. I wasn't even saying that was their ceiling at all. I was just saying that's an interesting move because they'll probably end up going maybe like 8-9, 9-8, something like somewhere in that range. And it's not going to be. It might get them into the wild card. They definitely not winning the division now, but it's just interesting to where they could have took a bigger swing for a better bridge quarterback. I believe Tannehill is still better than Dobbs. You know, to each his own, or even Winston is better than Dobbs, but. Now I feel like their ceiling is much lower. So at this point, it's like, why would you even go get a bridge quarterback? And I would have just went ahead and went with Hall, just like Nick said.
Yeah, and I mean they haven't announced the starter yet, so we don't know if Dobbs or Hall is going to get the nod. Hopefully, you know, I would lean towards if I was in the Minnesota coaching room, I would lean towards starting Hall, especially considering you start him, you got a great crop of young quarterbacks coming in this year's draft. See how the experience goes. See if you need to go quarterback in the draft or what you need to do for this team's future. Because, like I said, Kirk Cousins is not going to be a Viking at the end of this offseason.
He wants to be, and as we know that, like, even the Sunday night special that they just played, like he had
be a Falcon. They need a quarterback.
Yeah,
he could have been a Jet if he'd have some weak ass ligaments like the other guy that we had. So,
but I mean that's a very good point because Kirk Cousins was playing some of the best football of his career this year, leading the NFL in passing yards, and to see him get hurt is very unfortunate for that franchise, and also potentially for his career because think about it, he's a 34, 35-year-old quarterback about to hit free agency, so who knows what that ending number is going to look like. But kind of to shift topics and kind of talk about another precarious situation that Josh already brought up, the Washington Commanders, team that's sitting at 3-5, playing with a young quarterback, and this gave up their two key pieces on defense. So looking at this Washington situation, just kind of how do y'all read into that, especially seeing Sweat go to Chicago? I feel bad for him going from poverty to homelessness, and then sending Chase Young to San Francisco and really creating a dynamic duo there. So what do y'all just make of that Washington situation?
Fake franchise, but I'm not complaining as a Cowboys fan, but there's no way Washington gave up Jason Peters and Chase Young to the 49ers.
You mean
for
Trent
3
Williams?
third-rounders.
Trent Williams.
Oh, yeah, my bad. I said Jason Peters. Anyway, Trent Williams. Trent Williams and Chase Young for three third-rounders, bro. At that point, that's worse than what the Titans did with A.J. Brown and Kevin Byard. But for the Commanders, they're in poverty right now. I don't know what they are trying to do at this point. You would think they have the players to contend, just keep building. Why break it all down right now? They're not that far off. They made the playoffs last year. So at this point, you would think they would have been the ones trying to make a move to get a player as talented as Chase Young, as talented as Sweat. So with what they're doing, I'm not complaining, but they're definitely weird.
Nah, my question is, does Dan Snyder still on the team? This level of self-sabotage is amazing, honestly. I will say, especially Young, is definitely has been after his rookie year when he made the Pro Bowl. I think he was Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's been slightly disappointing, but I think it's kind of that same way with Zion, to where like he's produced whenever he's been on the field. It's just been a problem getting him on the field. A lot of people kind of baked on Monty. He ran a really good 40 that got him drafted in the back end of the first round when he probably didn't have first round tape in college. But he, again, slightly disappointing in terms of, I guess, what you have expectations of a first rounder. But it's we talk about the same thing with Minnesota. It's you're saying one thing in terms of where you see this team, but the actions dictate another. Like this Sam Howell was going to be the starting quarterback since OTA spring, and Ron Rivera was adamant about giving him a boost of confidence and saying how much they believed in him. And we know quarterback controls the destiny of the team. So for you to have this confidence in Sam Howell, and he's been taking a lot of sacks. He looked like 2019 Russell Wilson taking all those sacks. But he hasn't looked bad in terms of when he's actually able to stand in the pocket and get the ball off.
Hey, yo.
So it's definitely the thing. Look, you sound like you from New York, dog. The boy sound like Cam and Mace. But
I mean, to be fair, there was a little moment in there, but I let you live. He didn't, so.
We know he got the mind of a 12-year-old pervert. But regardless, it's it's just very confusing, and I don't see Washington shouldn't be in tank now mode. They got a young quarterback. They had young pieces. This not a team that's built to with the pieces they got we seen it in a situation like the Bears with Jalen Johnson. Like, if these young guys see that you're not trying to win, they will ask for a trade. So that you're not able to just like roll over and waste prime years of these young guys' career because you don't. I don't even know. Like, I don't even know what the dissatisfaction was with what they're at right now. So it's another situation. Like, it seems like there's definitely some confusion about what the direction of the team is and what the goals should be going for.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, bro. And just to close this whole thing out, two of the best teams in football made some very big moves. Looking at the Eagles with Kevin Byard and the 49ers with Chase Young. So looking at these two teams and just kind of looking at the trade deadline as a whole, which team improved the most coming out of this year's trade deadline?
I mean, the easy answer would be San Fran, but I feel like they were already so good on defense. I wouldn't just say Chase. No, don't give me Chase Young is probably the best acquisition, the best player that got acquired at the deadline, but I don't think that was made them that much better to where that was the best acquisition. But I'm gonna let you go, Josh.
Like I said, I'll kind of lead into that. Honestly, I just think, like I said, just the best player that was swapped at the deadline. Although I'm really high on what Leonard Williams can probably do for the interior of the Seattle D-line. But if you talk about this ceiling wise, if you like, and we know it too, we know that San Francisco was going to turn Sweat into a double-digit sack guy. Sweat, Young, like the talent was there. He did it when he was healthy in Washington. Although it seemed to be a problem getting guys consistently healthy in San Francisco. But we know when he's on the field, he's going to look like a Pro Bowler. So it's crazy that other teams in the league don't realize that. Also, they let him go for seeming like, again, this was a guy that was a top 5 pick and was a Pro Bowl level guy when he was on the field. So for you not to get at least a couple second rounders back or like a second round and a player that you see of comparable value, just I don't know, it's pretty dumb for me. I think if I want to lean away from that answer, I think the biggest need that was filled was probably the Bills getting Rasul Douglas. He's been a decent starting corner for Green Bay, and we know anything with Buffalo, especially with Trey White being out for the year, that's what they're going to need. They need corners, especially with some of the injuries they've kind of already sustained in the back half of their defense. Even go back to last playoffs when they basically lost a playoff game because Daquan Jones was hurt and they couldn't stop the run. So it was nice to see them plug that hole. He's not going to be Trey White. I still think most nights, especially if they're going to try to manage their number one, he probably won't be travel or a guy that's going to consistently stay with them. But that was one of the biggest holes, and they filled it with a guy that's a la Tyus Jones, a solid corner on most nights. So that'll probably have the most impact in terms of trades.
I'm gonna have to go with what you were talking about earlier with Leonard Williams to Seattle. When you consider that they just drafted Woolen, they have Woolen in the secondary, and so now that you got that pressure, even more pressure coming, and pause. Anyways, even more pressure coming in the quarterback's face, I would just say, literally the corners you can press at this point, and so it's gonna be easy, slim pickings in the defensive backfield where you have a guy like Leonard Williams right there in the middle.
But no, that Seattle defense legit probably has stars at every level. We talk about Leonard Williams. We talk about Jordan Brooks and Bobby Wagner. And that's what I meant to say earlier. You got Spooner looking like a star and Woolen on the other side. So yeah, that's a Seattle defense that I'm not gonna call them LOB, but it was quick. It quickly had turned from a trouble side of the ball into a strength.
No, facts. That's very facts. And I agree with both of y'all, bro. I think a lot of teams got better, and nobody said Kevin Byard to the Eagles, but I think that was also a really good move when you think about just the way the Eagles play football. The more turnovers you can create, we know Byard has been a Pro Bowl All-Pro defensive back just off the turnovers he creates, and you add that backside help to guys who are already great turnover creators and Darius Slay and James Bradbury, and that defense just becomes even scarier. So yeah, in conclusion, I just think a lot of teams in the NFL made some really smart moves. And I don't think in the sense of acquisitions there was a bad move or a reach at this year's deadline.
Yeah, man. I would have said Kevin Byard, but they just gave a 31 to the Redskins or to the Commanders. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous.
All the shit we say on this show at Redskins is where you draw the line. Gotcha.
You like that? You like that?
more big trade news happening, also in Philadelphia, but this time with the 76ers. Disgruntled star James Harden gets his wish and gets shipped off to the Clippers. The package looks like the Clippers receiving James Harden, PJ Tucker, and Philip Petrusev, while the 76ers get in return Robert Covington, Nick Batum, Marcus Morris, KJ Martin, a 2028 unprotected first, 2 second-rounders, a 2029 pick swap, and a first-round pick from OKC. So initially looking at this trade, what are y'all's reactions, and how do you think the Harden fit will look in LA?
My reaction is now he done messed up one of the hardest LA Lakers bars of all time with my boy Blue Bugs.
Fourth quarter yelling, why the fuck Batum in?
That again, James Harden sucks. He likes no fun. But now I think that Steve Ballmer has literally the money to buy the world, so he doesn't really care, I guess. But that's just a very you're putting a lot of hopes and dreams on a guy that has proven consistently that you should do that. So I think that, I guess, for the biggest part for them, they didn't give up man. I know that that was probably a big contingency point for them in rejecting the trade in the summer. But like I said, even in terms of the stuff they gave up, picks, with them being an older team, those are going to be more valuable to them than it would have been to a team like OKC. Contracts to flip. Talk about Batum and other guy. The other guys you said, but those are attractive trade pieces that they'll, Philly will use to get probably somewhat of a replacement for Harden. So, I don't know. It's the biggest fish that Ballmer could have landed, but you're asking this dude to do something that he's proven, even as one of the best scorers in NBA history. But the thing that you're asking him to do consistently take you deep into the playoffs and get a chip, he's proven that he's almost allergic to that type of thing. So.
No, man, I feel as if the Clippers made a mistake. As long as the whole entire team is healthy, because it's going to get to the point where Westbrook is going to be right back to where he was with the Lakers if everybody's healthy. In terms of LeBron and AD are so ball dominant, it just became Westbrook for trying to force what he had to do. Now with the Clippers, he's literally the fourth. This is even worse. He's the fourth option. Harden's most likely going to be the point guard, and Westbrook's going to be playing off ball. Now, if Harden's the point guard, you still got PG on one wing, Kawhi on the other wing. So it's just going to be jumbled up now, which all likelihood is somebody's going to get injured. I feel like that will open things up because you still got they have all the pieces as a championship team. I just feel as if it's not going to work out if everybody's healthy. It's something not right. Harden wasn't a good fit. I feel like that was just forced on. They forced that trade.
I kind of feel a little bit differently. I know it's a small sample size, but right now Russell Wilson ain't never played no good ball. Let me rephrase. Russell Westbrook is playing some pretty good ball, averaging 11.7 rebounds, 6 assists, 60% from the field, 50% from three. But if you go back to last year when he first got to the Clippers, one thing you noticed when the whole team was healthy and Westbrook was playing with Kawhi, with PG, a lot of teams decided to help off of Russell Westbrook and play him off, in off covers when he had the ball. What does Ty Lue do? He turns him into just a free roamer on offense, the same way guys use a free roamer on defense. He's crashing the offensive glass, creating opportunities for kickouts and things like that, and really getting into the teeth of that defense. And now I think you add James Harden, that his role just gets magnified in doing that. You add another scorer, another creator for Russell Westbrook to play off of. You got to remember, these two guys played together in OKC and Houston. So there's already some instant chemistry there. And I think, like I said, adding Harden just opens it up more for everybody. Because, just look at this Clippers team, bro. I agree that the Clippers curse is a real thing. But what the Clippers gave up were not crucial pieces to them winning right now. And every team in the NBA values maximizing that championship window more than they do than future draft assets. So I'm not tripping over the draft picks. But I think they've really maximized this team by adding James Harden. And to your point, if somebody gets hurt, yes, things open up more. But if you miss Kawhi, you miss PG, you miss James Harden, now this team is built to withstand some of those injuries in terms of star power. And they still have a very competent and deep bench. And I think this Clippers team, it could be a real contender in the West based off of how they've constructed this roster now with James Harden in the mix.
So how do you see the offense working for the Clippers when everybody's healthy?
I see the offense working just like this, bro. You saying, first of all, you have to assume Russell Westbrook is going to remain a starter. We've seen him play bench minutes in LA, and I think he could be useful off the bench if Ty Lue decides to go that route.
But why are you assuming he's going to be a starter if we see him as like this super 6-man thing? Because you talked about them.
He's been starting this year, is what I'm saying. So I'm not sure if bringing James Harden knocks him to the bench or if he keeps the starting spot. That's my point.
I'm assuming like because you got Kawhi at the 2 and the 3, like it's not a like all 4 of those guys can't be on the floor together. So I would assume that they would have the least talented guy at this phase of his career off the bench.
Yeah, and I mean, if you move Russ Westbrook to the bench, that's even better. You supercharge that bench because we know Russell Westbrook has always been an energy guy. But if you just think about a starting lineup of Kawhi, PG, and James Harden. James Harden is coming off a 10 assists a game year, which led the league. And so obviously just the creation possibilities are endless. Harden in the pick and roll with Kawhi. Harden in the pick and roll just creating on his own. And then you also have the floor is just so spaced, assuming, you know what I'm saying, you still got a big with Zubac in the middle. I just see this offense flowing very smoothly and creating a lot of easy open looks for these guys to attack. And then defensively, we know what this Clippers team has been in terms of defense just with PG and Kawhi. So I really like the fit here. That's all I can say.
I think it's gonna end with at the trade deadline. Westbrook is no longer a Clipper. That's the only way I can see this being successful. Which is not a problem. It's gonna end up being Westbrook is trading for some spot up shooters. And that way, then you have Harden, you have PG, you have Kawhi. They can operate at wherever they're at on the floor, and they can kick out. Which Westbrook he couldn't do with the Lakers. Like that literally was like the main problem. You couldn't kick it out to him, and he'll hit that wide open 3.
But that's my point. That's never been his role as a Clipper, is to be a sitter, a catch and shooter. That's never been.
And so why do you think it's not going to change with Harden being there? What makes you think that?
It wasn't that when he got here. It's not going to change just because you add one guy. He's going to continue to be a wrecking ball on offense, crash the offensive glass, attack the paint, kick out to those open shooters. And I just think the ball will flow seamlessly enough for him to still get his touches. Like I said, he's only averaging 11 points a game right now and taking, I want to say 8 shots a game. So adding Harden and his 12, 15 shots isn't going to change much in terms of the way this offense flows.
I mean, I don't know. Just in terms of overall roster construction, like, again, Kawhi and PG are not really distributors by nature, or their game really doesn't lend itself to that. I think Russ has always been a guy that was a distributor based on how much he had the ball in his hand. I've never seen him as a particularly gifted passer. I think that when you have, Harden coming into the fray, passing is probably the biggest asset that he has right now. Well, he's a better passer at this point as a full-time point guard than he was, in Houston. But I just don't still see a lot of those things that come to fruition in terms of like off-ball movement or space, just opening up space. Like, yeah, you'll have, Kawhi and PG on, each wing. But like I said, where does Russ really fit as a spot-up shooter? Does he,
He doesn't have to be a spot-up shooter. That's my biggest point.
Yes. Okay.
Where is it? Well, okay. So if it's already going to be a struggle to really incorporate Harden into, cutting into some of PG's and Kawhi's carries, what do you think that leaves for us? Like,
I mean, you already said he wasn't a starter. So potentially their minutes wouldn't line up that much except in the clutch. Because obviously you want your best 5 on the court. And I think Russell Westbrook is considered the Clippers' best 5.
Okay, I mean, if he's missing, bro, it's going to come down to literally, do you want Russ Westbrook out there or do you want Terrence Mann out there?
Yeah.
You want Russ out there or you want Bones Holland out there, who's more likely to hit that shot in the corner?
And that adds to my point about how flexible this roster is. You look at what they gave up, and you still naming guys that can come in and play valuable minutes and have differing play styles when they come in. Right now, this Clippers team has a lot of options in terms of how they want to play and things they want to do. And like I said with Russell Westbrook, he can come in and just be that junkyard dog on offense, crash the glass, facilitate, create opportunities, and attack the basket, what he's always done best. Because think about how much space there is on that court. When he was in LA, obviously we've seen LeBron struggle with it. We've seen AD struggle with it. That floor was not spaced. With the Clippers, that floor is spaced. He has drive opportunities, and he just has opportunities to play his game.
I mean, I think
with the second unit.
That's fine. Think about how well that first unit is going to flow.
I don't think we're
Assuming he
overestimating.
plays the bench.
I think we're overestimating the amount of chemistry that Russ and Harden will come in with, because you said two places where they play together. That's also two divorces. So OKC probably wasn't of their doing, just undervaluation of OKC of Harden. But also, like, Russ did ass out of Houston while Harden was the best player. So it's not. I mean, they're both LA guys.
Harden wasn't far behind him in asking out of Houston. So,
but it was a significant gap. And first of all, Moore was appeasing to every whim and wish that Harden had. And again, like, I just don't see their games as very complementary in the same way that you do. I think they're both, guys that, are at best with the ball in their hands. Especially now, I think
you're missing the point. Russell Westbrook hasn't been as ball dominant, hasn't been as much of a scorer since he's been with the Clippers. You're still trying to put that Russell Westbrook of old, that OKC Russ, that LA Laker Russ in a Clippers uniform. That's not his game anymore.
So he's gonna. I can understand.
Change his strikes, bro.
Even
he's taking 8 shots a game.
How many minutes is in? And also, again,
in 30 minutes. 30 minutes. How much? 8 shots a game. That's how much
off ball. How much off ball work have we seen from Russ?
This is I know it's just 3 games, or he's only had 24 games total in a Clipper uniform. But please watch Russell Westbrook and tell me just tell me how often he has the ball in his hand and how efficient he is right now playing the way he plays.
I mean, I'll give it to you because you got you.
All right, I mean, you sound pretty confident in these guys, man. Where do you see end of the season playoff time? What seed are the Clippers going to be?
I think this Clippers team, the way they're constructed right now, is a top 3 seed, and I think some teams in the West should really be worried.
No, that was probably one of my biggest points, that I've seen them kind of in that 4 to 6 range, and I don't really see that this move changing anything for them. You got to respect Denver at the rate of chance until somebody proves that they can play with them on a consistent basis. Phoenix has a more balanced big three than them, especially with some of the wing parts
they have a more balanced roster, though.
What do you mean?
Or as good of a coach.
I'll give you Ty Lue, but you're not going to sit here and tell me that, hey, just in terms of reliability and also playoff performance, that you like Kawhi PG and Harden over KD, Book, and Beal.
Okay, but what about when not Josh Okogie because he's a starter, but what about when Eric Gordon, Yuta Watanabe, and whoever else the Suns want to grab off the street and throw in the game come in?
Eric Gordon just gave them was giving quality minutes last year for a team he was way too old for. Watanabe was one of a fringe starter for that Nets team. So those 2 pieces that you named, I don't see any other pieces. I don't see better pieces outside of that top 8.
Name another Suns bench player.
Oh, he's a starter actually. So I mean, you name somebody outside of the top 6 for the Clippers now.
Is Norman Powell in your top 6?
He's your 6th man. So outside of that,
okay, Mason Plumlee, Terrence Mann, Bones Highland.
Give me somebody over 6'5".
Why does 6'5" matter? I just said
because you're not going to throw out 5 guards, Nick, to play.
I literally just said Mason Plumlee.
Okay, so I mean, first of all, Zubac was already broken down because they didn't have really quality backup center. So I'm sorry, I just don't believe in Mason quality. And Mason Plumlee is somebody that you can get reliable minutes from. So he
played very reliable minutes for him last year, and also Brandon Boston, throw him in there too. They've got a very deep and just roster. They have a very deep roster that they can manipulate however they want to for whatever situation they need. And I think that's what makes them a serious contender in the West.
For me, they still not ahead of Denver. They're still not ahead of Phoenix. They might not be ahead of LA, for real.
No, they're the best team in LA right now. Point blank period.
No. I would not say that.
Y'all, okay.
Size alone, they're bullying the Clippers up front. As much as I don't think Anthony Davis is a top 10 player, like, bro, you throwing out that 4-guard lineup with Zubac, AD gonna eat, bro. He's gonna eat.
We just had a whole 30-minute argument about how AD cannot consistently dominate, and you're telling me he's gonna dominate against this Clippers team?
Like they look like us in terms of lack of size. Like that is.
They have 2 guys over 7 feet, plus Kawhi Leonard.
bro. I mean, agree to disagree, but I just don't see those parts as complimentary as you do. You gave me some points. You know, I received some of your feedback in terms of the depth of this roster, but I don't see those guys staying healthy. So I find it hard to imagine that you're going to get that best case scenario in the playoffs. And B, I still think that there is not a clear path to what those top four look like on the court together.
But kind of to y'all's point, we started out this conversation by saying top four, Russell Westbrook will likely be moved to the bench. That's how we started this conversation. So the way the top four fits, how important is that really? We're talking about this Clippers team, especially if Russell Westbrook is on the bench.
But didn't you also just say clutch time and or playoffs? You're going to want your best five out there, and you're going to say that if Westbrook is the top
but
five.
clutch time and playoff time is a situational decision. Okay, y'all want to help off Russ and play it like this, and Russ isn't being as efficient driving the basket, getting offensive rebounds, things like that. Okay, we move Terrence Mann in. Now you have to guard that corner, and guess what? That opens up the one-on-ones for Harden, which he loves to create in, gives PG and Kawhi favorable matchups. And I just don't see how you can find a solution to this Clippers team. Especially with a guy like Ty Lue as the head coach, who's been one of the better head coaches in the league over the past 3-4 years.
Don't get me wrong, bro. If they're healthy, if Kawhi and Paul George are there at the end of the season in the playoffs, they're going to be a tough out. First of all, we got to get to that loop. They're not even going to be healthy once the playoffs come.
I mean, the Clippers curse is real, and a lot of this does depend on health. But if healthy, this is a legitimate Western Conference team.
Yeah, man. Well, with the new regiment that they got, to where you can't even rest your players anymore, or you can't rest just the rest, or you can't rest them at the same time.
Yeah,
and they're more likely to get injured than to just be rested all the way until they get to the playoffs. So, listen, if they are healthy, I'm here to hear you out, but I just don't see it happening.
And then for me, it's like that key piece that you brought in has perpetually sucked in the time that they needed most. So even like you said, in that best case scenario, you probably got one guy in a possible that you could consistently rely on in playoff time, and I don't see that winning. I don't see that beating Denver. I don't see that.
But think about it like this: when Harden has had his playoff struggles, he absolutely had to be the best player on the court, right or wrong.
In Houston, yeah. But yeah, he had some stinkers in Philly.
That's what I'm saying. In Philly,
that was his best performance. But yeah, he definitely had some stinkers.
But in Philly, to an extent, he had to be one of the best player, because if Harden doesn't get off, Embiid can't get off.
I wouldn't say that.
I would, because who's gonna get Embiid the ball? Who's gonna draw the defensive attention to get him those one-on-ones in the post to prevent people from helping off?
You can facilitate without your shot going down. I don't think that kind of his shot not going down, kind of the stuff that he's in his head about in terms of past history, and also like again, he's a point guard because he can pass the ball. He's not a point guard because he's a pass first guy. So
yeah, but this is my point in saying this. My point in saying this isn't to talk about his past playoff struggles. My point in saying that was now he doesn't have to be the best player in the playoffs. Kawhi can get off. PG can get off. Hell, Terrence Mann has even gotten off in the playoffs. And if James Harden just so happens to get off in the playoffs, great. But if James Harden has a 8 to 12 point playoff performance and the Clippers are still winning because one of those other guys got off and scored, hell, I said Terrence Mann, Norman Powell has even gotten off. This team is constructed with guys to get off. This team is deep. They've got a lot of buckets. Harden doesn't have to be at his best every night. Like you said, he's had some stinkers. But when he does have those great performances, that just makes this Clippers team even better.
Agree to disagree.
I don't even know where you're sitting at.
And so to end this episode, we got to end it at home, bro. And if y'all don't know, the mood in the Grizzlies locker room has changed from like vet motors to Akbar. You know what I'm saying? We know the Grizz some big young boy fans, so it's gotten pretty sad in that Grizzly locker room. So right now the Grizz are 0-4, bottom 10 in the NBA in points per game, next to last in threes allowed. And it's just not looking, the product on the court is not looking good. So through these first 4 games, what are y'all's biggest takeaways for this Grizzly team?
Bro, bench his ass. The entire world can see it, man. We went from having one of the best benches in the league the past 3 years to literally the worst bench in the league. The Grizzlies can only go 6 deep to where we can trust players. After that, we look like a whole bunch of G leaguers. Listen, we don't have enough big men right now. We're scared to play Kenny Lofton, but other than that, the bench is ass, man. Like literally, I feel like us 3 are better than Jake LaRavia, Roddy, and whoever else they want to throw off the bench, bro. I'd rather have us 3 out there.
For me, it's that is very true. But you got half of your bench and or starters in the street clothes, so that's gonna definitely take away some of that depth. We are. Hold on, start. We're small. I think everybody. That's not a really breaking revelation to anybody, but I think we all kind of assume, not just us 3, but kind of the NBA community at large, that it was going to be like a smooth assimilation for Jaren and Bane to kind of step up into temporary 1-2 roles with Jogon. And I would say that decidedly not worked. I think that Bane has definitely struggled in terms of being the main shot creator. And, he showed some progress working at a pick and roll, but just the shots that he's getting are not great. He's not creating really great looks for himself. And with him being that primary, ball handler, he's not able to work off ball and kind of get himself into a rhythm in the same way that he could with, being with Ja. And Jaren is kind of defensively, he's always going to be there in the same way. But with his need to, be a consistent offensive threat, night in, night out, it's just more, a heavier need. I think it's shown a light on just kind of the same thing that we've known for a while. He's just very inconsistent in terms of finishing at the rim. He still gets bullied by other bigs in terms of he's not as good as a finisher as you would want to see from a guy that athletic and that size. And he also has a problem staying on the court still. So the fact that he's not that type of guy that you can rely on for 15, 20 a night, just with his offensive back and inability to stay out of foul trouble, that puts even more pressure on Bane. So I think that outside of the bench stuff, outside of how small we are, I think that we all kind of assumed that we're going to look somewhat the same with Bane and Jaren stepping up, punching up a role, and it has to be.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people took for granted the fact just how good this Grizzly team looked without Ja last year. And coming into this year, Ja's out for 25 games. The progress on the court hasn't been the same. And kind of as you alluded to, missing some key pieces to injury. Losing Steven Adams a week before the season after he played in 2 preseason games is tough. Not having Santi Aldama, not having Brandon Clark, obviously that hurts your depth, that hurts your team. But my biggest takeaway when looking at this Grizzlies team is, one, of course, rebounding, because we're 22nd in rebounding, allowing our opponents to out-rebound us on the season by 2.5 a night. And you just can't win games like that. You're creating a lot of opportunities for opposing teams, and you're also allowing a lot of 3-point makes to these opposing teams, and that's been a consistent theme throughout the season. First game we saw Matt Ryan get hot. Luka came in town, did the same thing. It's just been a barrage of threes against this Grizzlies team, especially when you can't make any. And also, my biggest thing when looking at this Grizzlies team is our free agent or off-season acquisitions. We bring in Marcus Smart, we bring in Derrick Rose, and we think that those guys are going to help us get through. But it's pretty obvious that those guys are more complementary pieces, and they're not giving us the spark that I think everybody thought that they would give us.
Now, I would say that obviously the nostalgia behind D Rose coming back was very high. Honestly, he's probably been our most productive player off the bench. So, and even him looking kind of sped up and, just still knocking out some of that rust of, the lack of playing time in New York, which, good on his body, but bad in terms of just the rhythm that he had. It's kind of crazy to see, what he just used to be in terms of what he is now, but also just see him like very flustered still at very moments, like just trying to, leaving the ball behind and still just not being in, total sleep with this offense. And as somebody listened to the Ringer a lot and Bill Simmons a lot, I was kind of scared about the version of Marcus Smart that they got the back half of last season versus the DPOY Marcus Smart version. And I definitely see that coming to fruition. He doesn't look as sturdy as a defender as I think we would have hoped. We got Sire still guarding the other team's best offensive player, which I'm like, again, what is Marcus Smart there for? And he provided some offense. He's providing a little bit of offensive spark in terms of creating, because we don't have any guys that can really get downhill and create their own shot. But it's not a consistent thing, and also it's a thing that I don't want him thinking that the Marcus Smart shot is the best shot for the team. Which I don't know. It's definitely, that's not winning basketball. But if you look at the options around him, like if I was Marcus Smart, I might think the best shot, it would be the best offense for me to take a shot every time too. So
I mean, fuck. Every time I went to the Grizzly game Friday when they played Denver, bro, I swear to God, Zaire Williams might as well watch the game with me, bro.
Right, and then he boomed on Lopez in the preseason. He had us all hyped. Look how they fooled you. But we talk about how well this front office has drafted, just how kind of the moves that they've made. It kind of like they've been the new age OKC with how the front office darlings. I think we got some pretty big misses right now with LaRavia and Roddy. Like I was a big Roddy guy, going into last year. He plays some playoff minutes. He kind of really fits the grit and grind mold as an undersized guy that can play above this height and be really versatile. And he looks nothing like that this year. He looks a little heavier. The shooting hasn't really progressed because he's kind of regressed from where he was at in terms at Colorado State, and he just doesn't know where he should be at on the floor, which is a far cry from when he was that fringe starter. Kind of getting playoff minutes, because I would have been a proponent of him starting, having that wing spot. And it's over for Jake. So he might as well just go on down to South Haven, and call it a wrap. So we've held this front office in such acclaim for what they did the past couple of seasons, and I think it is time to kind of start. It's time to place blame on them when it's due with some of these big swings and misses in some of these first rounders.
I gotta ask, man. Does the head coach have y'all stamp of approval?
I personally think Taylor Jenkins has my stamp of approval. Start out there. I think what he's done when he's had his roster is enough for him to keep his job. Right now, the cabinet is bare. Like Josh just said, we haven't gotten the development from our draft picks that we would expect. Zaire Williams, David Roddy, Jake LaRavia. Neither one of those guys has taken the strides to be, in my mind, contributing players on this Grizzlies team. Like all these guys, I think if you send them to another team, are buried on the bench. They're not playing. And on top of that, like just the situation around this year would be hard for any head coach. So I don't want to put the hot seat on Taylor Jenkins now, but I do want to see what he can make of this team, and if he can get this team and just this jawless unit back to how they were playing last year without Ja, because obviously you bring in new pieces. It's going to take some time to gel, and we probably should have expected that. But 0-4 is nothing to overreact to, because when you think about it, we played some really good teams. Talking about Dallas, Denver, New Orleans, and I forgot who that third game
Washington.
was. Well, that Washington loss looks very bad.
We played two good teams, two in a possible. If Luka and Kyrie can get right, that's maybe a good team. But yeah, the Washington loss, unacceptable, and especially with how bad we got down in that first half. I'm not gonna repeat everything that Nick said. I think he said it very well. You can't really expect a high performance with the pieces that Taylor Jenkins got right now. So I don't think it's even fair to really judge him based on the kind of guys he's going to war with every night.
Yeah, but kind of to bounce off that question, Vance, talking about the way this roster is right now, and obviously Ja is a top 10, in my opinion, player in this league right now. The way this team looks, when Ja comes back after those 25 games, do you think this team will look dynamically different in terms of being better? Or do you think this is a foundational problem with the Grizzlies that will continue throughout the whole season, and maybe we need to damper our expectations?
Oh no, they'll definitely be better. They probably would be 2-2 right now instead of 0-4. I would say maybe even 3-1 or 1-3. They definitely would have a win, I would say, if they had Ja Morant on the team. With that being said, no matter what happens, bro, Bismarck, but Biyombo might be the answer. He might not, but the bench sucks. We're getting Ja that gives us depth, and so in terms of one of those other guys can be on the second unit, helping run, we can have 2-star players. Well, I consider the core forward Marcus Smart, and then the big three we already had in Bane, Jaren, and Ja. And those guys, we can always have two on the floor no matter what. Right now, we're having to have just maybe one at a time. Once we get to the second and third quarter, that's where we're losing the games. First quarter straight, fourth quarter we look good. In the middle, it's just
that's where Dallas run up on us.
Raven has to be better. Luke Kennard was ass. Hopefully he's better. Maybe he literally got some sense knocked into him and he can shoot now. That would help out a whole bunch. And literally, we have all these wings and they all suck. I'm pretty sure the Grizzlies are cursed, man. Like literally, we have not had a good wing in
since OJ Mayo,
Rudy Gay,
OJ Mayo. Listen, bro, but since then, like literally those days, we've been cursed. It is what it is. We're still searching for our three.
Nah, I mean, it's great. I like everything you said there, Vance. I think the only thing for me in terms of the expectations, like, Ja's not going to make them any bigger in the front court. He's not going to give you any type of rebounding or rim protection pressure that which you're missing. And he's also not a wing. So even with Ja coming back, you still need a starting small forward, and we don't have a legitimate option for either one of those things. So I don't know how we feel about a Ja, Bane, Smart, kind of three-man rotation or, backcourt. I'm not the biggest fan of it, especially with how Smart has been defending. But no, it's a mix of both. Ja obviously raises the ceiling of this team and, pulls them out of the depths of NBA hell. We are the worst team in the league right now. We're the only team in the NBA without a win. So he's going to do is he's going to fix that at the very least. But some of those, those foundational things that we've all referred to, he doesn't fix those. And in terms of kind of the ceiling that was on this team last year, when your favorite player of all time, and then they was exposed the lack of size that we have, but also the lack of shooting from that wing spot. So I think Ja does, like I said, winning cures all, and like I said, having a guy like that, you're going to win more. But those foundational things, he's not going to cure them. So those things still need to be addressed.
Yeah, and obviously the Grizzlies tried to address some of those things, like Van said, with Bismack Biyombo. So let's talk about that for a second. He's a 6'8" center, obviously a big hustle guy.
He be making dudes short as hell. Like their brother, like he's taller than 6'8".
He's 6'8".
He's
look it up. He is 6'8", bro.
He taller than 6'8".
He's just African with long arms, but he's 6'8".
Bismack Biyombo, 31. We know that's not true because Africans be lying about their age. It's 7'6" wingspan. That's why he looks so tall like this. Yeah.
But think about it, bro. Now we have pretty much all of our bigs, not named Jaren Jackson, are under 7 feet. Xavier Tillman, Bismack Biyombo. I just don't see the situation get any better over the first 25.
It's just crazy to me that we was looking at somebody like Brendan Clark as expendable less than a year ago, and now we would all kill to have Brendan Clark out there doing the energy stuff, dunking above the rim stuff, just like being a high energy guy, especially from a big perspective. So, how quickly the tables turn. So, I don't think that a 6'8" Bismack Biyombo is the answer, but like it gives us size, it gives another rotation piece, and like at this point, we just need as many quality players as we can have on the court.
Right. So obviously, this is our team through the first 25 without Ja Morant. We're 0-4 right now. How many wins do the Grizzlies get over this first 25, realistically?
They're laughing like Dr. Doofenshmirtz. I'm gonna let them go first.
I'm gonna go with 10.
10 and 15. What about you, Josh?
Man, I think I said somewhere else. It's always I might go 8-17, dog. Losing to that Wizards team, especially how bad we got down. Like
and how goofy Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma are?
Bruh, there's not 5 worse teams in the league than them. Like how again, like we're gonna punch above our weight in certain games, even with how close we've been to different games. But dog, we just do not have the horses to compete. Again, it's playing out right now. Only team in the league without a win. And this again, it just the way the West is set up, like it's not a lot of easy games in the West and just in the league in general. There's not a lot of teams taking. There's not a lot of teams that's gonna be, like I said, especially early in the season, trying to, that gave up on their season. Even you look at the West, the only team that, and it's horrible, the only team that I would feel confident about us being better than is Portland. And that West is sucking right now. So, yeah, I'm going to go with 8-17.
Yeah. I think it's definitely scary for the boys in Beale Street Blue right now.
Take that for data.
So another week, another edition of Game Balls. And like you guys know now, our game balls are now sponsored by Nappy Wings. Make sure y'all get at them if you're in the Knoxville area for all your tailgate and just, you know what I'm saying, late night hungry needs. And remember, if it ain't nappy, then you ain't happy, man. So I'm gonna kick this off. I gotta give my game ball to somebody a little bit different, somebody who doesn't get a lot of love on this channel, bro. We never talk about this position in football, but on Sunday, this position was of utmost importance, and that's punters. So this week, I got to give my game ball to Thomas Morstead, punter for the New York Jets. This Sunday, Jets-Giants matched up in a New York battle. Final score of that game was 13-10. Obviously, not a lot of points. It was a cold, rainy, windy day up in New York. And so my guy, Thomas Morstead, decided to put his cape on and win this game for the New York Jets, punting the ball 11 times with an average of 48 yards and 4 kicks inside of the 20, which is really impressive, especially when you consider the game, like I said, cold, nasty game, pinned the Giants back, especially with their third-string quarterback, didn't allow them to get into scoring position, and hey, he even got a highlight video out of it, of course, to Meek Mills. So I got to give my game ball to Thomas Morstead, man.
I like it. That was probably the most pitiful football game I've ever watched, but they don't grade any wins in the NFL based on prettiness, and we got into pole position, second place in pole position for the AFC wildcard spot. So I don't give a damn. For me, I'll stay in the same sport, different level. You know, I'm all former D lineman. I'm at the hashtag D line bring the energy. And one guy that's been bringing the energy from last year and has really kind of broken on into the national scene. Latu. This is a guy that was first team All Pac-12 last year. A guy that had double-digit sacks for UCLA. One of my favorite pass rushers in this draft class. I think he's slowly overtaking Jared Verse and maybe creeping up on Dallas Turner in terms of the best edge in college football. And he had a breakout performance against Colorado with 2 sacks and being one of the members that put Shador Sanders in perpetual hell. He might have stole my nigga jury. We don't even know, honestly. So, but the way that guy wins is it is pure pass rush excellence. The hand usage, the cross chop, the ability to get skinny. He's still like probably even 240, 250. So he's not a guy that's doing a lot of speed to power or overwhelming tackles with his physical gifts. But that dude is a pass rush technician. And I think that that's a guy that, especially with as the league is going, throwing the ball 30, 35, 40 times, a regular basis. Like that is a guy that, and we kind of seen it with I can't think of the UCLA edge rusher right now that's at the Chargers that's performing really well. But UCLA has a decent history of putting guys in the league and letting them perform. And I think that Latu, like, man, I just love the way that guy pass rushes. I think that the way that he wins is like it's very sustainable. And honestly, when I see him on tape, he looks like a slightly, I won't even slightly, a less athletic version of Ryan Burns. So I was big on Verse and Dallas Turner coming into the year. I thought those were going to be kind of step into that solidified top 10 role. And my boy Latu was kind of overtaking both of them in my mind. So shout out to we don't know a weak Polynesian guy, first of all. So Polynesian Hawaiian, whatever he is, tropical brother. Shout out to you and your pass rush bag.
Man, yeah, so I'm gonna think a little bit outside the box, but I'm gonna go with an NBA veteran, been associated with the NBA longer than LeBron James, bro. I say LeBron's the longest tenured NBA veteran in the league, but it's really Kim Kardashian. She just signed a new deal with Skims. So I'm gonna have to give her the game ball. She's been finessing the NBA, milking veterans for over 20 years, man. So I'm gonna have to give it to Kim K.
That ain't the first game ball she got. I just have a feeling about that. So I'm glad that you're continuing the tradition. I'm not gonna lie.
Shout out Chris Humphries, man.
We're not shutting out Chris Humphries. This is a black show. This is a black ass show. We're only letting Kim K get on here because she got famous based off a black man. So shout out Razor.
Facts.
We got. I ain't gonna lie. I know it's already latest hell friend Vince. We hold him up, but I ain't gonna lie, bro. We gotta talk a little bit about that Ngannou Fury fight. Like, bro, straight robbery in terms of what them judges did to him. And like, man, boxing at the worst place it's ever been in terms of the judges' scorecards, Showtime Sports shut down soon. Like how prevalent celebrity boxing is, and just kind of making a mockery of the actual sport. Like, bro, I think that everything that's wrong with boxing was kind of solidified with that fight on Saturday.
But so we finna as a collective, we decided to make boxing great again. No Cap Sports Boxing coming soon. Make sure y'all check out heavyweight fight. Vance Xavier Laws versus Josh Lightbright Crawford. We got the date set for January 21st in Vegas at the MGM Grand. Make sure y'all get that on PPV, our first boxing match. And yeah, also make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe to this podcast, and stay tuned because we got a lot of content coming for you guys. And with that, we out of here.
Boom. What's the odds on them shits? I'm at least minus 250 on that.